Hi guys, Togo here with a new video, and this video will be a video kind of made for myself but also probably for you guys as well, that are maybe inspired by how I reason myself into what I'm going to pick class and faction and server wise, and give you some indications on how I choose those things, so you also know who I am by how I choose the things I do, obviously. But to start with, we're going to choose the server, and I already said that multiple times on multiple servers. I'm a PvP guy, and there is no way I'm playing on a PvE server. Has never been the case. Hardcore is already dead to me if there is no transfer possible, which I understand why they do not do that. Again, it's for like faction lock balance. Like for example, if Horde is faction lock, they would do a hardcore Hordes like character and then die and transfer it off on PvP, which is again preferably not the case. So I'm gonna go PvP. For me, World of Warcraft is about PvP. For me, my childhood was literally getting ganked by people and being ganking some people. Like having a horde literally walk by, even if it's like 2 levels ahead or 2 levels below me, I'm going to engage him because it is what it is. It is me versus you, and that's how I see World of Warcraft. And that's why I hate on retail where the faction like doesn't really mean anything, especially like in how war mode is working and on like specific zones where it's like FFA, which is fine because Gurubashi is also like that. But I kind of miss the faction pride, and classic is that faction pride. If you're choosing alliance and you are horde, it's me versus you. It's no cooperation possible. It's like I am morally gray, you're also morally gray, but I don't care. Like I am the right side, and for you, you're maybe the right side, but I am the right side on my side, so I'm going to go for you. So that's how I see, and I'm going to go alliance for 99% of like chance, because the 1% would be if I was going shaman, and shaman is a tough choice because I really want to play shaman, to be fair. Like being able to dual spec now, you can play elemental mastery resto, which again I think healing wise you would probably be resto spec, but in PvP elemental mastery is really cool. But you can also go for enhancement and go for two-hander with wind fury, and probably delete someone if you get the right procs. I kind of like the shaman playstyle as well. I always played shaman, like in TBC I played Draenei. Didn't really like it. Then I leveled in Wrath of the Lich King, like original one. I leveled the Shaman in Wrath of the Lich King, played in Cataclysm as well, played in Mist of Pandaria as well, and so on and on. Like even in retail, I made Shaman, right? So I really like Shaman, but the issue is like I kind of don't like the zones and like the cities from Horde. Like don't get me wrong, I think the leveling experience is probably better in Horde. Like that's true because you don't need to walk too much to get like to questing. Like everything is near barons, right? If you have barons, you can go to Stone Talon afterwards. You can then go to Ashenvale if you want to. You can go to South Barons. You can go to the northern side of Barons. You don't need to leave Kalimdor at all. While Alliance, you have to walk a lot, right? You have Westfall, you have Duskwood, you have Dark Shore, if you have to level that, which you then have to walk the whole wetlands to go there, or you do a skip, whatever. I would be walking, to be fair. I don't really care about skipping. You need to take the boat. You need to go to Darnassus also, so you have also a flight point there. You have to do a lot of stuff to actually get like to the places you need to level. But I really like the cities though. Like Stormwind is fantastic. I also think like Ironforge is fantastic. Also the starting zones like Dunmorrow, Elwyn Forest. Teldrassil is like, again, I'm not really a night elf anyways, except if I'm playing Druid, and even then I try to skip it as fast as I can. But you have also Westfall, Lochmadan, Duskwood, even Darkshore is really cool to level in because it's really fast as well, and you have a lot of quests there. And then afterwards it becomes a bit harder, like you have to go to maybe STV if you're like into the 28s to 30s to do the Tiger quests. You have to maybe go to Scarlet Monastery, which kind of makes you really run the whole way. Like you have to go through Arati Highlands into like South Shore, into maybe go directly to Azam, or you're leveling there. But even in South Shore, it's very hard to level because you don't have a lot of quests there. Like I understand that Alliance is quite hard because you don't need like you have a lot of inconveniences, and it feels like it's like rushed. Like the devs didn't really make all the zones of Alliance actually worthwhile, and that's true. But the cities are so much better. Like being in Stormwind or in Ironforge, whenever you're waiting for MC or Onyxia, is like, I mean, super far. Like it's super close and super cozy as well. Like you can also go through Red Ridge. Like you have multiple ways you can actually enter, and I find it quite cool as well. Lokmodan is super close to like Badlands as well. So I do think there's like a lot of like options to do well on Alliance, and that's why I would like Alliance. And it's not really about races because I do feel like Orc and Undead is so much more cooler, but I really like how the coziness is about the like Alliance faction. I think it's like cool to have that as well. What else can we discuss? Now, races. I'm going to be honest, I don't really care too much about races, but I'm a PvPer as well. So I have to think about like, is it viable to play as a human? Well, they don't really have the best ratios for PvP. They have the best PvE ratios, like again, swords and maces. It's quite good if you're like a warrior or a rogue, for example. If you're like going for sword rogues, for example. But then again, like gnome is that much better in PvP. That's how I feel. Like being able to escape from roots, which is pretty massive versus a frost mage. If you're like a warrior, it feels like you have to go gnome. But you have also an option to go dwarf. And I really like dwarf because I played hunter dwarf in 2019. And also, it was literally my first character. Like in 2004, whenever I had the box, I played Hunter Dwarf, and it was fantastic. Like it, again, the zones are really nostalgic to me. But also the racial. I think like Stormform is so good versus rogues. Like you're already winning very hard if you're like a hunter. You're winning already very hard versus rogues because again you have flare. You have also like scatter shot into freezing trap. You have multiple ways to like again take some distances from rogues, and they don't have shadow step, so they're kind of ruined because of that. But you also have Stormform, which is literally deleting blind from their bars. It like it you never really get a blind of a dwarf hunter. It's really hard. Like if you're doing a blind, you can just Stormform directly and you're ruined. You can maybe like again, there is like no point. You cannot really win a duel versus a dwarf hunter. That's how I see. Except if you're like having big crits and you're deleting the hunter, which should not really happen because you're a male wearer in PvP. So I really like dwarf, so I don't mind playing dwarf. Night Elf kind of sucks. I'm gonna say the Shadow Melt is quite good if you're like in the world and you have to AFK. You go Shadow Melt, or if you have like the macros, you can like eat and drink while Shadow Melting like at the same time. So you're never open to a rogue, for example, although they can really see you from afar anyways, but still it's also the only race you can have as a druid if you want to go alliance, and it's not the best race. Like everyone knows, Tauren is the best horde race if you want to do like flag carrying, because you have at least a stun with stomp, which is cool, and you have also more health, which is always going to be nice if you're like flag carrying. But if I was playing druid with dual spec, I don't really mind. And I don't mind playing Night Elf as well. And if I'm thinking about like TBC or RAF, it might become better. But it's really late in RAF. Like in RAF, it becomes better to have Shadow Melt. I think in TBC, it's still the same Shadow Melt that you have in Classic. So yeah, that's the thing. So currently, if I have to play a race, it would be between human and dwarf. All right. So that would be human or dwarf. And that's if I'm not playing Druid. If I'm playing Druid, I go back to Night Elf. Like, I really, really want to play Druid. So, I'm going to talk class per class, and I'm going to say my opinion about it and how I see it through my lens. It's not really a tier list, but I didn't want to do a tier list because, again, I don't want to, like, persuade people to play the best specs in classes. Like, that's why I didn't make, like, a best PvP tier list or a best PvE tier list, because I feel like, again, we already know kind of, but I don't want to like persuade already more people to like flavor of the month. It's not really flavor of the month, like flavor of the expansion kind of. I don't want to do that, right? So I will do that down the line once like we have set, and probably whenever like Freshest has been launched, and some people will want to know what is the best PvE or PvP classes. We all kind of already know that, but maybe my opinion about it, I will do that. But for now, I'm keeping on this. So let's start with every single class from Alliance, and it's not like a class picking guide, so I'm not going to do too much in detail, but I'm going to give you my whole opinion. Like, it's subjective. It's not it's an opinion, guys, so don't be mad on the things that I'm going to say. Warrior. I really like Warrior. Thing is, if I'm playing Warrior, I know for a fact I'm going to have a great time because it's like the ultimate class in Classic. You're going to like scale very well. Every single piece you're going to get is a huge upgrade. Even if you only get one piece out of raid, you are actually very happy because you know it's like one step closer to the edge and they are about to break. Anyways, Leaking Park. But pretty much like Warriors, like if you have a two-hander dropping in MC and you get the two-hander, you're going to like put some Rammstein on it and you're going to do PvP. You get a heal bot with you from your guild that is really like just a Shadow Priest, but you ask him, go dual spec, go Disc Priest, put me power infusion and let me blast kind of thing. That's cool, but the truth is I'm gonna play mostly solo most of the time. I'm not going to dungeon grind. I'm not going to like level too fast because I want to like smell the flowers kind of thing. And I don't really care to be the first because it doesn't really matter to me. I'm like PvP, like I want to be PvPing a lot, and phase 2 will be the honor system. So again, it's like I'm gonna PvP in while leveling and do that a lot. And the thing is, as a warrior, if you're PvPing a lot in open world and you're like not level 60, you don't have gear, you're literally like a little shit. The issue is you're going to get shut down by most classes. I frankly cannot really say any class that is not winning versus a warrior. Like, rogue should be winning versus a warrior in general. If he has the opener, obviously if you have a better weapon and you are spamming overpower, which is cool, you can win versus a rogue, but rogue can also just like dead zone you. Like he can put a bleed on you and then like do like stutter step and like have you really on the edge, not being able to charge, not being able to touch him. So really a good rogue is able to win versus a warrior. Obviously a warrior that is better than a rogue is going to be able to win versus a rogue. Maybe that's the only class where I can say, okay, that's kind of okay. If you're like able to get the jump on a rogue, you can literally like pain him, right? And with consumes and whatnot, you can actually win, I'd say. But you're not going to have consumes at all times. Like that's something level 60 has with a lot of gold. You're not going to have that at the beginning. So that's what I'm thinking. And also, I'm thinking about PvE, where there will be a lot of competition. I think my guild has, like, I already joined the guild. I hope we're going to raid together, but if it's not possible, I'll find another guild. That's all right. But they already have like 6 warriors and 8, like you have 2 others that are on tentative. That's a lot of competition without like thinking about rogues. And I know that warriors feel super good in raiding, but I don't really enjoy the fact that I'm having to like struggle for gear too much. Although the reality is I'm going to rank anyways. Like now it's super easy to rank. You don't need to commit your whole life to it. And getting rank 13 or 12 or whatever, like even rank 10 is possible. So I guess the only struggle that I would be seeing is the weapons. But even then, like, you know, I'm thinking like if I want to do like PvP, I want to do 1v1s, 1v2s, can I do that as a warrior? And I don't feel like I can do that. So that's why like right now it's really on a parenthesis. I want to do warrior, but it could be just as an alt where I have like multiple, like I'll have a lot of gold and I can just twink it like the hell out of it and maybe do alt runs where literally they're going to gear like other warriors once they have like full gear. But again, it's a shorter timeline. It's like 1 year, maybe 1 year and 2 months kind of timeline. So I don't know how much time I have to actually like gear up my alt. So I don't know. Like parenthesis, it might be my main, but I'm not sure. All right. And if I was going warrior, the chances are I'm going to play human because it's better for PvE, and I don't mind to not have Stormform too much, I guess. Because again, if a rogue is blinding me and I'm full health, I'm fine, right? If I'm not full health, it means that like I did something bad anyways. So the blind itself is not going to make me like lose the game or not. Like I already lost the game before, anyways. That's how I see. Paladin. Let's talk about Paladin. That's something that I'm kind of like already decided on. And yes, there's like a little like voice in my head that are saying, "Play Paladin. You might have Hand of Rag. You might have some luck." But the thing is, I'm not going to have luck, and cannot really count on that. And the same reasons that I find warriors interesting, like again the weapon progression, the gearing process, is also a bad thing for Paladin as well, because if you're like raiding as a red, you're like bottom of the bottle. Like literally, if they're picking you, it's literally a favor. They want you to heal, and it's possible I can heal now with dual spec, but it means that you're not going to get DPS gear anyways. So the only way you can gear yourself is probably go do honor, like the honor ranking, which is fine. You can do that as a paladin as well. So the gear from the rank 14 or rank 13 or rank 10 is actually decent, but it's like I think paladin is like one of the most consumes heavy classes already, like even more than warrior, and you are literally like chasing people like this without charge, like running like this. You're facing versus a mage, running. Facing a shadow priest, you cannot even like you can't even beat a shadow priest, but you're running versus a warlock, feared, 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 and you're going to die eventually because you already have bubbled and you cannot really like eliminate the warlock in time. Same for shamans. Like shaman versus retribution paladin. In my eyes, shaman kind of wins, but there are like again depends on who you're facing. But elemental mastery, you're dead pretty much. And versus druid, it's literally a fight like where we look at each other literally and we walk past because we don't have like a 24-hour match, right? That's something like happens like a paladin versus druid. You just look at each other and you run past, like you're not fighting them. Versus a rogue, it's miserable as well. So I don't know, man. I want to play Paladin because I also think about TBC, I think about Wrath, I'm thinking about how cool it can be in tier 2, being able like maybe with Ashkandi or whatever and like destroying people. That could be that could be cool. Like everyone wants to do that one time, but I'm also a realist. I think I'm going to get bored of it. It's already very boring to level, but I think it's also very boring to play in PvP if you get kited all day long, and it's already a thing in retail anyways for warriors, getting kited into oblivion, and I don't want to relive it again. So I don't know, Paladin is really out of the question right now. Even though dual spec makes it more interesting, the truth is, I think a lot of people are going to level Paladin and might drop at level 40, say like, it's nothing for me. I'm afraid that I'm also going to be in that boat. So I could be healing as a Holy Paladin. It could be cool, why not? But I'll have cloth to wear until like a certain point. And in PvP, again, it's not really an offensive healer, so I'm actually someone very aggressive in general in PvP, and I don't want to play like something that has like no chance in actually doing a 1v1, so for me it's going to be Paladin is probably a no, not even a parenthesis. Rogue. So Rogue, interestingly, it was high on my list until I kind of figured out like, do I really want to play Rogue and there's like only 2 spec available to me? And even in TBC, like, mutilate is not a thing. Like, it just is not good. Like, especially in PvP, it's just not good. And I do believe, like, Rogue, you will see a lot of them this time around, especially on PvP servers. Like on my guild, prediction thingy where people are, like, listing themselves. They're listing themselves more as Rogue than any other class available. So the competition will be high. I think the thing about Rogue is what is good is you can actually decide to play daggers. And you could play Dwarf Rogue, which is effectively a very good choice if you're facing other rogues. So you could actually Stormform blind. And often a Rogue versus Rogue battle, if you are doing a reset, it's through blind. And Dwarf Rogue is actually very strong versus another Rogue. Obviously, stun locking an Orc is very difficult, but if you can do that, you literally win the match. And most Rogues are going to be undead anyways, that's how I see, because they want to win versus Warlocks very easily, and that's how they do. But as a Dwarf Rogue, you can actually do that, and then you could play also daggers without like feeling bad. Because if you're going human, most likely you want to play swords, because that's the way to go in PvE, and to get daggers at the end to be able to PvP as a daggers aspect rogue is going to be quite difficult, because you're going to be bottom of the list, because that's going to be your off spec. And Night Elf is cool for the RP stuff, but it has no value in my eyes. I don't believe there is value in Night Elf, if I'm not mistaken, except the double jump, whatever, and the dodge chance, but it's not that good. But I do like Dwarf Rogue. So there is an option. I want to play Rogue, but I'm thinking like, the competition, do I really want to be like one of the rogues that are like literally playing rogue and there are like multitude of them? I think also leveling is quite cool because you can do it solo, but the truth is in dungeons you're not going to be picked too often because you're competition for warriors and you are competition towards other rogues, so they're not going to stack rogues in dungeons. And I would say in PvP it's quite fun. So it's the ultimate PvP class pretty much. Like if you want to rank, if you want to do wall PvP, I think rogue is a lot of fun. Being like scummy and such, people are going to probably insult you. It is what it is. That's how the rogue life is, and that is kind of interesting. So again, parenthesis, the same as warrior, but also like maybe alt it. Maybe I could play alt, or I can say, look, I'm gonna level rogue as first, and like through farming, through whatever, I could maybe like fund another character. But what I like about those three classes in Alliance is the weapon progression is cool, man. Like having a big weapon does make a difference. While a big weapon on the Mage or a Warlock is cool for the aesthetics, but also spell power is cool as well. Like the plus damage attribute is quite cool as well. It makes you more powerful, but it's not as big as an upgrade as, let's say, an Ashkandi or a Bone Reaver's Edge or whatever you're able to get as a weapon, as a warrior, as a paladin, or like for example, like your Perdition Blades or whatever. Like that is a huge upgrade. While compared to like anything that you could get as a warlock, as a mage, or even as a druid. Like druids, like their upgrades kind of sucks because in PvE you want to play MCPs and your competition, like you don't have a lot of good weapons, not a lot of feral weapons, and if you're like boomy, kind of sucks because you're also bottom of the list. You're really just a meme spec, unfortunately. So I do believe like those three are like very very cool weapon progressions, and I think that's why most people like playing those classes because it is first and foremost a melee. It's also like quite cool to get gear. It is a feels good. Those are like three feels good classes. So the more gear you have, the better it becomes. Red is a meme, so it's very hard to get gear, but once you have gear, it is probably feeling good. And the same for warrior and rogue, like they have difficulties getting gear because of competition, but once you get gear it feels like, oh my god, I got like onslaught girl, or oh my god, I got my 2 weapons, oh my god, I got like my rings, or like upgrades are like feeling good. And that's maybe something I would like to have in classic, since I played druid and hunter the first time around. Now priest, that's something where I thought myself it was never going to be an option, but since dual spec is a thing, and I made a video about it, since dual spec is a thing, it makes me think like, damn, I want to play Shadow Priest, man. I want to be unkillable. I want to be like annoying to gank. Like literally, Shadow Priest is one of the specs. If you see a Shadow Priest, you generally speaking, you're not going to try to gank it because it's already very difficult to down one. Like the shields itself is very strong, but also you're very tanky. And the damage is very hard to stop, especially like for example, Rogue doesn't have cloak, so the damage is there. Like it's always there. Like one mind blast can just destroy you, and then like Shadow Word Pain, and then they can even like they can like mind flay you or like bait the kick and mind flay you until you're dead, pretty much. Like they are very very strong. But I'm afraid. I don't want to raid as a healer. I'm tired of raiding as a healer. That's a problem. I don't know if I really have the fortitude to raid as a healer, and I don't know if people are going to accept Shadow Priests. I know that since the debuff limit is gone, they might accept Shadow Priests. But again, you're bottom of the barrel. They're not going to give you any gear compared to a Warlock or a Mage. There are maybe some pieces that are like plus Shadow, but even then, it's really rare. It's not like you're not going to see it often. Now there is, again, I'm a PvPer, so the good thing is I can fall back towards PvPing and getting the rank needed to get like better pieces. So I could go for rank 10 and even go for rank 13. And at the end, if I get rank 14, which again, like the grind is still there, but it's not like no lifing anymore. Like it's again a half-time job. It is what it is. But most people, like again, I know myself, I play a lot, even with my family, even with a job. I do play a lot because I make content about it as well. But I have an understandable family that is like looking forward to open myself up towards hobbies, which is cool. And I do feel like, again, Shadow Priest is an option because of that, because of ranking and because of dual spec. Now the truth is, I don't know. I feel like And if I would play priest, it would be dwarf priest because it's too strong compared to a human. Unfortunately, like fair ward is a thing, but also stone form is super strong. Shadow priest being able, like, again, if someone blinds you, it's not over. Like literally, you're going to win versus someone that fears. Again, you're going to be an advantage. It's kind of like equal, like a dwarf or undead. It's kind of equal, like fear ward or like will of the forsaken. So you have that as an advantage, right? So, and also I think most people are like going to appreciate you as a dwarf, even though again the looks is a bit better on human, but it is what it is. But again, priest is on my mind, but again, I don't know. I don't want to have like the feeling of I'm going to get bored. But again, I don't think priest is boring. I do think, like, again, is PVE shadow priest going to be a thing, and that's what I'm scared of. Like if I'm not getting a group invite on my shadow priest. And again, I'm not like a big streamer, so I'm not like I don't want to get like streamer privileges as well because I'm not a streamer. I'm like a content creator on YouTube, by the way. So even then, they most likely don't know me. But also, like, I just want to be picked because I'm valuable, not because like I'm Togri, right? It's stupid. And I hope Shadow Priest is valuable in a raid. I hope some people can prove Shadow Priest being a good DPS somehow, some way. But I'm scared of like how mana is. Some people say that the matches are going to, like, the boss fights are going to be fast enough that you're not going to be That's a possibility, but I don't know if it's really going to be worth it. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyways, dual spec makes it very interesting. So there is a chance where I'm going to go dwarf priest, and then in TBC it's going to be quite cool to be also disc priest and also like shadow priest. Like it's interesting. So it's on my mind. Mage, I'm going to say that I'm not as interested on mage. The thing is, truly you only have one spec, right? Uh, Especially phase 1. You can play Pump Pyro if you want to in PvP. You can play Full Fire if you want to in PvP. But the truth is, Pyroblast is 6-second cast. So you kind of need Pump Pyro if you want to like pump on Pyro. Fireball is super slow as well. You are a slow caster in general. All the benefits from mages kind of goes out of the window if you're fire. While Frost Mage is obviously the better like spec, okay? The better playstyle at least for phase 1. And I think in AQ it changes towards Fire Mage, which is like, again, it's phase 5, who cares kind of thing to me. Like it's way too far. If I really want to play Mage at phase 5, why not? But in PvP, really you only have one spec, which is Frost. You could play like maybe like a semi-hybrid, I don't know. But to be fair, like Ice Block is too good. So yeah, Ice Block and your Ice Barrier are too good to pass up. So that's why Frost Mage is probably the only thing I would be playing as a mage, and AoE grinding, which is cool, but it's very repetitive. I don't know how people can do that all day long. So if people like that, that's more power to you guys. I did try that in Classic, and I did not like it. So for me, it's very hard to do it again. And again, it's not really that fun, Mage. Like PvEing, it's not fun. I think PvP it's quite fun because I do believe like a skilled mage can do some crazy things. You can do 1v3s. You just need to watch a video from Grand Wizard and it will hype you up, which is cool. But I don't know, man. I don't know. So I feel like for now, Mage is kind of out of my mind. I do see like a lot of less mages that are going to roll mages for some reason. They want to try other stuff. They might play Warlock this time, or they might play Shadow Priest, or they might play a shaman or whatever. And I don't see the mage, especially like on those recent polls. It feels like a lot less mages are like rolling mages this time. So there is that, but I think the gearing competition is a lot less than warriors and rogues, so that's a positive. I think also like ranking up as a mage can be cool, so there is also the possibility to have fun as a mage. But the truth is, like, it's a very powerful class, but it's very monotone in my eyes. So I don't know. Again, a lot of people are going to call me crazy. Maybe some people are going to say, "Oh, but play Mage, man. It's so cool. Like you can do PvP and TBC with Icelands and such. There's a lot of things you can do. And that's cool and that's true. But I frankly don't know if I really want to play Mage. Like that's not really my class. I don't feel like at home." And it feels like I'm going to drop it anyways. I might play it as an alt though, so there's a possibility for that, but even then, I'm not sure. And if I was playing Mage, the truth is, I think the better class would be Mage, the better race would be Gnome, but I find way more aesthetic to play human, and the aesthetics kind of like plays also a role into deciding what race you're playing in my eyes, because again it's an RPG. Even if I'm playing a PvPer, I don't want to min-max too much, and I feel like even like undead mage feels way better than human, but I'm not playing horde. So anyways, warlock, so that's also a choice where I'm very hesitant about. I really want to play warlock, but I'm scared of getting bored. And I'm also scared for getting bored in PvP, not only in PvE. Because again, PvE, I think there is an option to dot now since debuff limit is gone. And I don't know how big it changes the dynamic. Because you're not going to Agony. Most likely you're going to Curse of Wreck or do your Curse of Elements or whatever. So that it's not sure. I'm not really sure if you're going to have the place to get Agony up, since obviously you want to have maybe 3, maybe max 4 warlocks in a raid, which is still fine. Like gear competition, you will have tiers, so that's cool. Although I think the tier pieces are not that fantastic, I think. But most likely you're going to spam Shadow Bolt and do maybe a corruption here and there, but it depends on the clear speed, if it's clearing too fast or not, and if it's worth the GCD to put corruption instead of a Shadow Bolt. But having corruption up makes you also have like instant Shadow Bolts sometimes with Nightfall procs. So I don't know. There is an option for that as well. I really wonder if it's going to be good with the debuff limit, but I'm scared of also like getting bored in PvP. So it's not only a PvE thing, it's also a PvP thing. I don't know if I'm like very satisfied on Warlock vanilla. I think in TBC it becomes a bit more fun, and in Wrath of Lich King becomes way more fun. But I think in vanilla it's very difficult. Like I don't know. Again, you're going to summon, you're going to have to like spend time to farm soul shards, which is fine because a lot of classes have like inconveniences. That's an inconveniences that you're kind of signing up whenever you're playing Warlock. And I think PvP wise, you're going to be a fantastic 1v1er. You can even 1v2. I think Mortal Coil is so good. Like it's so good. You have also like your Fear Spam, Hall of Terror. You have multiple ways to play the game. I think like obviously versus hunters you're going to have a tough time. I think also versus a rogue it's pretty much like GG's if you're not playing orc, which I'm not playing orc. You can win versus a rogue, but most likely if the rogue plays well you are screwed. That's how I feel. And you can play well as a warlock, but I think if you want to win versus rogues, you need to use consumes, and it's not always an option. And you cannot play Warlock Dwarf. If you could play Warlock Dwarf, you could Stormform Blind, and you could win games because like your duels because of that, but it's not possible. And you could play maybe Warlock Gnome, but it's not like you're like rooted and you're losing because of a root. That's not happening. Pretty much you're losing because you're getting stun locked, or you're getting kicked on the important stuff, or you cannot really defend yourself. That's most likely what's happening. But yeah, Warlock is kind of on my mind. If I have to think about classes, which one I'm more ready to play, it's Shadow Priest and Warlock. But I don't know. Like I don't know if I wanna like, because I'm very scared. I don't want to reroll while leveling. I don't want to be level 40 or level 45 or level 50 and say to myself like, had I played something else, kind of feel. I don't want to have that. And it's like not really a safe choice. And in PvP, it might be very good, but it's also might be not that good because you're very slow, you don't have mobility, you're not very tanky. You're tanky if you're going like Soul Link, but Soul Link is kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm playing Warlock, it's deep distro, or maybe like SM Ruin. That would be the two I would be playing. So it would be like 30 points into affliction, 21 into destruction. But even then, like, I like conflag, so I don't know. I feel like Soul Link is not really that great in my opinion. So I don't know. The thing is about Warlock is you have multiple ways to play the class. In PvE, you're demanded because again you need to fill like the spots for range DPS. In AQ, you have an ideal spot where you could tank. So you are needed for sure, and they're going to try to like gear you for that. So they're going to spend time to do so that's also a good thing. But I don't know. I'm really hesitating. And then I'm thinking about Hunter and Druid. And if you know me or you know my channel or you have seen my other videos, those two were the classes I played in 2019. I leveled Druid first, I raided first on my Druid, and then I decided to level my Hunter as well because there was like a second raid going on, and I could also have like my Hunter geared up very fast because we had like only 2 Hunters in the raid, like across the 2 raids, so it was very fast to be geared as a Hunter. I was playing deep MM, so 31 points in MM, and I also played deep survival, so I had also 30 points into survival. So we had also high agility. So I played 2 specs in total in raid. So I played deep survival and also played deep MM. Both are very fun. Also melee weaved, that was also fantastic. Leveling is so comfy. Grinding is so comfy. If you want to do diamond like tribute runs, you can do that as well. It's so comfy as well. If you're like caring about gold, it's one of the fastest levelers as well. You are pumping in dungeons low levels, like literally people are taking you because they know they're going to have a faster time in dungeons or easier time in dungeons. PvP, it feels like you can win versus everyone. It depends on who you're facing, but you can win versus everyone. Mages that are very good, they're going to dead zone you, but often you can actually like win versus a mage if you're not letting them dead zone you. So you have an option to do that as well, except if they're using full consumes, then it kind of sucks for you. Shadow Priest, you kind of it's hard to kill, and if they're smart, they can sustain themselves enough to win, but it's also possible to win. Like, and versus a warrior, literally freezing trap, and you take distance, put a freezing trap again, and you're fighting, and he's like, really the only option they can do is pretty much like use a skull of impending doom to not get freezing trap again, but then they're not with a two-hander, so it's very hard for them to deal with. I think it's better to play Fury versus a Hunter, for example, if you're a warrior, so you could have like faster intercept, excuse me, and also have a second hand Skull of Impending Doom, so you can activate it whenever you want, and that will help you like win versus a Hunter, but you will do a lot less damage as well. So again, I think Hunter has like the best matchups as well. Like Dwarf Hunter versus a Rogue is like fantastic. You don't have a stun, so you don't really care about orcs. You don't have a fear, so you don't really care about undead. So it's one of the best classes I would say for Alliance, because you don't care about the horde faction too much. While if you're a warlock, you do care about undead. If you're like a rogue, it kind of sucks to fight versus a orc warrior, because you know there is no way you're going to stun him, or if you're going to stun him, it's going to be like very lucky. I do believe like Hunter has it all. But I don't know if I really want to play again Hunter. Like, it feels like I'm always playing Hunter. In private service, I play Hunter. In 2004, I played Hunter. Even in, like, Classic Launch 2019, I played Hunter. I played Hunter in TBC, played Hunter in Wrath, played Hunter in Cataclysm. I played Hunter on retail as well. So I don't know if I want to play Hunter again, because then it's not really fresh. And I feel like with fresh Classic, literally, this is like the title of the video, like Classic, wow, fresh. Do I want to play something that is not fresh to me? But it's so comfy. Like, if I play Hunter, I can like literally play like this. If you're looking at the video, I'm hiding my eyes. Like, I can blind myself and literally play Hunter and still perform. That's how I feel like I can play Hunter. So I don't know if I want to play like the comfortable way, or if I want to play something new. That's the question. And truly, the game is out for 20 years, so nothing is new to me. I played every single class throughout the expansions, but like new to me of a fresh experience, like for example, fresh 2024 compared to 2029. So, and then Druid, it's a comfy class as well. My first 2019 class that I played, that I leveled to level 60, that I raided with, fully geared on like literally 3 weeks time because we had all the tier 1 drops like directly and everything went to me because I was the only Druid that was healing. The other Druid was going feral and the other Druid was going boomy, so he had no prior on that. I was going resto because I didn't really care. I wanted to just like flag carry anyways, and the tier pieces are actually good for that. So it's interesting. And at one point, the feral kind of logged off and never came back. So they asked me to go feral. That was also an option. That was also quite fun. And I could off tank a bit. That was also quite fun. And then they decided, look, maybe we're going to change the composition. We have too many mages and warlocks compared to warriors. Would you like to go boomy to try it out, right? Because we have already a Resto Druid because they recruited another one to make up for me leaving the Resto Druid spot. They wanted me to go boomy, so I went boomy. It was kind of fun because I also demanded like I wanted to try boomy DPS and how it is. It was interesting, but like getting was very annoying, and rank 1 starfires was not that fun to do. And in general, it felt like again I was like lowest DPS because it was like optimized rate as well. And even though my DPS was not that drastically low and could be lower if I was like Retribution Paladin, I do feel like it was not fun. Like again, like I'm not like a details. Like I don't look at details like get horny of it. That's true. I don't like PVE. I don't really care too much. But like being last, dead last is like kind of sucky, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I prefer to be like in the top 5, top 10 maximum. But like being outside of the details, like breakdown kind of sucks. So I don't want to do that again. Boomy is like out of the question. Trap it down, literally. And Resto Druid might be better now that you don't have a buff cap, so you can pre-rejuve, and that's actually a good HPS from the get-go. If like it's a AoE fight or like you get a lot of AoE damage, pre-rejuving is quite good for Alliance. I don't know about Horde, but for Alliance it's very good. But like Horde, you have chain heal spams, man, so it's very hard. But we don't have that in Alliance. So you could have a lot of like healing from that, but you cannot stack rejuve. So if you have 2 Resto Druids, it kind of sucks. You kind of ask the other Druid to do that, and the other like the first one would do healing touches. So you could do that. Like you could do that. Regrowth is not really good at HPS, and it's not really mana efficient, unfortunately. It has good HPS, but mana efficiency is 0. So pretty much you're getting screwed. And Feral is quite cool, but I did the MCP farm once. I don't want to do it twice. I find it very, very boring. If it's like a change that they could do from SOD to Classic is maybe the MCP farms do not exist anymore, but then it would become Classic Plus. So I'm not expecting it to change, and frankly, I think I would be mad if they changed it anyways. Even though it's a question like I ask, like something I would like to see for myself, but it's very, very selfish. I would not like that for our Classic Fresh. What else? Yeah, so that's again Druid. It's very comfy though. Like gearing wise, so easy. Honor ranking. Literally, your PvP set is literally the best feral set as well. So if you want to have like the best pieces, you would go PvP. I think the weapon progression sucks. I think it doesn't scale well. But feral in TBC becomes better with Mangle. So you have that, and Maim as well. So you could also think like Druid in TBC, why not? And in Wrath of the Lich King, I think swipe spam is really, really, really strong as well. So I don't know. I'm thinking. I do feel like Druid is an option. So we are at the end of the video though, and now I kind of need to like narrow it down. I want to choose it right now, but I think I still give myself a bit of time to decide. But if I have to do a top 3, and I have to think about like, look, think selfishly. Like, what do you want Classic 2024 be for yourself? Don't think too much about TBC because that's 1 year. I could always level a new one. It's not a problem. I can always level. Like, think about vanilla right now. Think about phase 1. Think about phase 2 PvP. Think about phase 3 PWL. What class is going to bring you the most joy and fun in coming fresh? PvP, mega server. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be chaotic. You're going to have to fight for your life most of the time. What class are you going to play in PvP? In PvP server, but also in PvE. And what class are you going to be content in raiding? And if I have to do like a top 3, like if I have to do a top 3 with maybe an outsider top 4, it would be, I don't know, man. Oh man, it's so hard. Like, I want to play warrior. I want to play warrior. I want to play rogue. I want to play shadow priest. I want to be like really like utilizing the dual spec aspect from shadow priest. I'm thinking about hunter maybe, but hunter dual spec is not that interesting. But you can maybe play like as a second spec PM, or you can say, look, this spec is going to be a full PVE spec, and you don't care about scatter shot, you don't care about all those things, and you can go like the second spec would be with scatter shot and with all the trap goodies that you could have on survival. Um, there also is that option, and doing the hunter quest again, that could be very fun, but also very like tiresome. Like the demons to beat were very annoying to me, in my opinion. It was very annoying. Like I raged fighting the winter spring one. I really hated that. Um, like that was terrible. I remember it. That was like wipe upon wipes upon wipes upon wipes. But once I did it, it was very fun. And I don't know, man. Hunter could be my top 4. Hunter could be my top 4. I think Paladin is like a bait for me. If I want to be Paladin, it would be it would be a bait because nobody will like, again, raiding as a retribution Paladin really sucks for yourself and for the raid because it's not even fun. If it was fun, why not? But it's not even fun to raid as a retribution paladin. Getting gear as a holy paladin while you wanting to play retribution paladin really sucks as well. Not have like two-hander because it will be given to the warriors, which is understandable. Kind of sucks. I don't know, man. So if I have to do a top 3, warrior, because I think about like the joy of getting gear, the joy of leveling, the joy of actually doing BGs and having a healer next to you. But I also think about the open world aspect, which you kind of sucks as a warrior. I also think about rogue. Rogue, very fun in open world, very fun in PvP. Actually decent in PvE. I think the rotation is not like that good, but it is what it is. Utility is maximum, but it's really selfish though, so you don't really gain a lot of stuff in groups. And priest, you can heal, you can go shadow priest. You have to find a way to mesh into a group, but again, very frustrating because the gear is not going to go to you most likely. It's going to be tough. Because again, you are sidekick of a warlock pretty much, so why not gear the warlock first? So I don't know. I'm thinking about that as well. And then I think the ultimate choice would be hunter, because it is a bit of everything, right? The gearing process is cool. It's also quite easy because tier is so good for hunters as well. And PvP, it's very enjoyable. You can have loads of fun as a hunter. You can do very well as a hunter. It's very cool to play as a hunter as well. TBC hunter is also quite lit as well. Yeah, it's a combination of everything. It feels comfy. It feels known by me. I know the gearing process, like literally as my pocket. It feels comfy. But again, I already did it. So if you guys can help me in the comment section below, convince me for your class. Like, why should Togray Thomas from France, from Belgium, play your class? Please let me know. Try to convince me. You have a few hours, a few days upon you to convince me. Convince me. And I might play your class. I might not play your class. But maybe it will be fun to also like explain why you're excited about your class. That could be also fun. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day.